Why, hello there, fellow stellars enjoyers and spacefarers. In today's video, I will be playing the Progenitor Hivemind from year 0 to year 30, the full playthrough, showing every click and every decision I make. Alright, let's talk about the Progenitor Hivemind. Previously, Personification Hivemind was the meta build order for all the Hiveminds. However, Progenitor Hive provides you with more potential for the further scaling after year 30. It has a lot of flavor to it, it has a little bit of weaknesses, mainly during the early game, because the economy of the Progenitor Hive is not as strong as the economy of the Personification Hivemind. However, your empire will be stronger the longer the game goes, compared to the Personification Hivemind. For the build order, I use Ascetic. Habitability plus 5% is not that big of a deal, however, pop amenities usage minus 15%, it's a must-have. And Natural Neural Network, on top of giving you additional research alternative, which comes in handy especially during the early game when you need to get those really important technologies, especially in the engineering tree. It also provides you with the ability to unemploy some of your drones and get some minerals and research. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, however, we will be using the unemployed drones in the playthrough, that is why this civic is definitely a must-have as well. However, I have seen different players using different alternatives, even though I recommend this build order for the starters. Speaking about the traits, Unruly and Budding is like a must-have on any type of hive build, since you, from the start of the game, you have the assembly, and any build order that has assembly kinda relies on Budding to get the maximum amount of pops. Yeah, if you compare Budding to the Rapid Breeders, there are times when Rapid Breeders trait is a little bit more efficient compared to the Budding. However, a lot depends on the settings of the lobby, the logistics growth and the growth required. Since we have started playing the multiplayer games with 1.6 logistics growth, it means that Budding gets even stronger compared to the Rapid Breeders, and that is why it's like the only available alternative, to be honest. Another one is Aquatic. Aquatic is also a must-have for the Hiveminds, since Hiveminds kinda struggle with the early game. And Aquatic is the best trait you can get that can boost your economy. On top of that, it provides you with 20% additional habitability on your guaranteed planets, which makes it 100% for your empire. And this provides you with the maximum amount of the output on those planets. And by the way, this is the reason why some buyer builds go for the extremely adaptive trait. And it also makes sure that you get the maximum possible amount of pop growth on your guaranteed planets. And the last one trait, it can be a little bit questionable for some players, however, I still think that this is the way to go. This is like the most basic build. Phototropic traits makes sure that you will not need to employ any drones on your food production during the early game. Once you get your starbases up and running, 7 starbase hydroponic models will be enough to feed your entire population. On top of that, phototropic means that during the build-up of your empire, you will be able to unemploy drones from the food production and employ those drones at, let's say, producing alloys, science, or whatever type of resource you need at that point. You can try using intelligent trade instead of phototropic. I've done it. I didn't like it as much as other players do. However, intelligent is a somewhat nice alternative, but it kinda depends on your taste and the way you play the build. Alright, let's do it, folks. The Progenitor Hivemind playthrough and the guide. We start with the usual, checking around what is going on around the galaxy. This time we were lucky and unlucky at the same time. Ocean size 12. Well, size matters, but when it comes down to the tech planet of the Hivemind, your smallest planet will be the tech planet. That's okay. That's bearable. Then I delete the building slot on my starbase, go to the policies and put diplomatic stance to isolationist to get my unity, and strip the ships. Usual corvettes strip the same way as for any other empire. Offspring corvettes is a little bit different. Make sure to keep the hyperdrive and to also equip one weapon. This will come in handy later if someone tries to sneak a science ship into your territory before you establish contact. This corvette can be used to scare away those aggressors science ship. Start buying 22 food from start of the game and unemploy 4 drones, leaving 1 on the maintenance drones. Amenities will drop quite a lot, but it doesn't matter. Just make sure that your stability is green, like above 50, and these drones will be producing minerals and science at the same time. I guess it'd be good, yeah, very good to start.
Upgrade complete.
But make sure that once you upgrade and strip your corvettes, that your offspring corvette is following your science ship, because like, progenitor civilian ships have a sublet speed reduction of 50% if there is no offspring ship or offspring aura or offspring outlook module in the system. That's why this ship is used as a tugboat for your science ships, construction ships or colony ships, depending on where is the current bottleneck in the speed up of the development of your empire. By the way, I'll be playing this game on the ISS mod, so you'll see a little bit difference compared to the playthrough of Mr. Montu. In the ISS mod, we have, there are 4 leaders in the leader pool. And also there are other slight changes, but these changes will not actually impact the game. Or at least they will not impact the game so hard that it will lead to some different results. And yeah, on top of that I'll be playing the game at the normal speed. Trying to play it like the usual way I do it in multiplayer, so it will be easier to check all the clicks, all the stuff I'll be doing. That hence the name of the video, all the clicks. Nothing will be cut out. The first building, once you reach 300 minerals, is the energy district on your planet. And soon after that, like 1 month later, you'll have enough food to order your first colony ship. Right after that, you have to stop buying food and start buying minerals. You will no longer need food.
Commander, there is a research objective.
I mean, not just the food, but the purchase of food. Alright, so far so good. On top of that, there is a mineral patch in the capital system. I usually build it right away, because as for now, this construction ship is dormant. There is nothing to do here, and the colony ship is not ready, so there is some free time for this dude to actually do the job. Also, on top of that, I will have enough minerals when the time comes to finish this generator district, and the next building will be research labs. I was thinking about maybe that actually there is no big difference between building the mineral district next or research lab next. So you can actually, if you want a little bit better economy, a little bit more stable economy, then going for the mineral district feels like a good idea. However, if you start building the research lab and wait a little bit with the drop in your colony ship on this planet, you'll get an additional stored research bonus.
Add-on complete.
Yes, the first, the stored research bonus you get from your first colony depends, its size depends on the amount of science you're making at the moment. Technically, I guess maybe there can be, you can use the bug, anyone can use, not the bug, but unemploying some pops to get additional income of science, but I doubt that's actually fair, and I doubt it's actually worth it. Okay, once this is done, we can use the science ship to go and search for other planets and our next guaranteed planet. And this offspring ship is used as the tugboat. First, speeding up the construction ship, but construction ship will not be the problem. Will not be the bottleneck, and the real bottleneck will be the colony ship. Because it's extra slow. Sometimes you're unlucky and there is a nebula in the system, and that's just brutal. Even with the offspring ship, colony ship travels at a really slow speed, and without it in the nebula, it feels like the colony ship is not moving at all. Okay, by the way, the energy district is done, so we can afford to buy more minerals, and this is what we're gonna do right now. Okay, the guaranteed planet. Here, that's nice. Soon there is time to order another colony ship. Once we have enough alloys. Actually, it comes together at a really perfect timing. You'll have 200 alloys and 500 100 food at the same time without any additional purchase, but you have to not build a additional science ship. I know that sometimes it feels like really it feels worse to actually get an additional science ship to start like serving the surroundings, but in this case you'll have to postpone it a little bit. And with colony ship this is the same. I'll wait until I have how much? Yes, like 8 days. Yep, and only after that colony ship will drop on the planet. Here we go. Also,
expansion site established.
Wait, you didn't calculate? Or did you? I guess it did, okay. Oh, okay. I just missed the architectural interest governor, but that's okay. That's fine. I mean, there was one, but I decided to postpone it a little bit and get this point. Actually, this is quite important, like this point in prosperity. It increases the build speed and also it decreases the cost, which is kind of important when you're this short on minerals. Okay, everything has been built here. Our capital is built in the research lab.
Commander, there is new information for your perusal.
We got 4 minor artifacts. That's perfect. Once you get minor artifacts, make sure to enact the decision on the planet artifact relays. This will actually allow you to unemploy another drone, but you know what? Actually, like, it's not like one drone will not make that big of a difference, and I kind of like the higher numbers here in green. But technically you can do it, so it's up to like personal preferences. After research labs, we need to build a mineral district. And the initial build-up on the capital is complete. So after that, we'll be following quite the like, straightforward pattern. Hive district, research lab, hive district, research lab, and the end goal for this, like for this chapter of the build-up, must be having 6 research labs on the capital world. I'll be checking governors from time to time. Once there is the architectural interest governor, always grab it, if it's still the early game, because architectural governor is by far the best governor you can get for your empire. At least when it comes down to the first build-up. Because initially let's say your capital is built up, it means that the majority of minerals have already been put in the production, and also the majority of the time required to build all the stuff, all these buildings and districts.
Research complete.
And that is why the architectural interest governor is the best one. It speeds up the initial process, allows you to get your science faster, to get your resources faster, and so on and so forth. Alright, that's a tough choice. I'll go for minerals. Both of these technologies are really important. Planetary build speed plus 25% allows for the lightning speed build up on your planets. But at the same time, there is a problem that you might run into the deficit of minerals. Hive district. We have enough minerals for this right now. Also, we're doing this. We're getting rid of the unused drops, only leaving Synapse drones, and we resettle 1 drone from the capital. At the same time, it's time to change our policy to manufacturing focus. Usually it's when the first colony is up. I use it as a time window, or like the timestamp when manufacturing focus must be enacted. So far so good. This is research lab number 4 on these planets. At some point you'll have enough energy, or you can get enough energy by not buying minerals to clear the blocker. Or if you did it already like I did it, then you do not need to waste additional 300 energy. Definitely, like, to be honest, I'm not sure when it must be done, like from the mathematical standpoint, so I do it how I feel it. This time I did it a little bit earlier, that's why I started talking about it, but forgot that I actually did it already.
Complete.
As for now, in the engineering, I'm searching for the specific technology, like the same technology that allows you to enable the energy district, but for the minerals. I consider this technology to be the most important for the hive minds in the early game. Actually, quite a lot of technologies in the engineering is important for the hive minds. But I want to talk about this technology, unification, planetary unification. The best case scenario is researching this technology once you have your second colony established and you have the drone there resettled from your main planet, from your capital. Why is it so? It provides you with a lump sum of unity. There is nothing said about what this lump sum of unity is, but actually it's 12 months of unity production, but not exceeding 1000, if I recall it correctly. With a hive mind, you will not be hitting really high unity production values. However, there is like a local maximum. This local maximum is achieved when you get 2 synapse drones on both of your colonies. So technically, once you have this, it's okay to research this technology, and you kind of must research this tech, because this tech allows you to roll for the colonial centralization technology, which is another extremely important technology for the hive minds. So make sure that you research this technology before you get access to the tier 2 society technologies. You get the access to tier 2 technologies after you first research 6 technologies of the previous tier. In this mod, this is actually the Stefan's technologies. Stefan made this mod, and Stefanox incorporated this mod in the full UI mod I'm using. This red color means that this tech is tier 1. So I can say that I have done 2 technologies of tier 1 in societies. This is number 3.
Add-on complete.
As a rule, I must get it before tier 6. I mean, before technology number 6 of the tier 1. Alright, this is our colony. This is our second colony, which will be the ally colony. That's why I will call it this way. This colony is a little bit different compared to the tech colony. We're also ordering the offspring nest, but our next building will be synapse drones. However, the approach is the same. This is a unification center. We settle 1 pop from the capital. On the capital we order research labs and another hive district. Yeah, so far so good. This means we'll have 2 synapse drones. Now we hit the peak of the production. There is a small detail. Sometimes you finish this technology and the drone that you resettled manages to get to the offspring nest, so it's built before this tech is done. So make sure that on this colony to ensure that you're getting the maximum amount of unity to boost this lump sum of unity that this technology will provide you with. Make sure that you focus the synapse drone, so you'll not have only 1 drone here. Yeah, it's kind of like a small min-max, but it also matters, so why not in the end. Alright, this star base is done. Starports.
Located a research objective.
Technically I had to do this faster, but I'm recording this and I do not have a script. That's why pardon me for a little bit misplace here and there. I'm trying my best. So once this starport is done, then if you have enough alloys, then you must order all the modules. Hydroponic base for the buildings and solar panel networks for the modules, I guess, or the vice versa. The goal is to get 7 starports. With this amount of starports, your entire populace will be fed just from the modules, and hence this is the main idea behind the phototropic. There are also implications of picking phototropic. Well, maybe not implications, but benefits. For instance, here I was able to resettle pops from the capital, from the production on food. I would not be able to do this if I were not using phototropic, because I had to keep pops on the production of food, and this kind of enables us to get more drones on the production of things that we actually want. What do I mean under this? it means that we're trying to minimize the amount of drones that are producing food and amenities, and we are trying to maximize the amount of drones that are producing science, alloys, and resources required to produce science and alloys. Because in the end, when it comes down to the multiplayer, competitive multiplayer like PvP, to be honest, it kind of feels dull. But in the end, all that matters is the size of the fleet. If your empire is not strong enough to defend itself, well, I mean, you know, not that good type of stuff can happen to that empire. And actually, kind of the approach is to make sure that your empire can defend itself, and on top of that, to get the best economy and technological level as possible. Here on this planet, your first colony, the colony that will be producing technology, it has the unification center designation. However, once we have two brain drones, and if you have some struggles with the mineral income, the amount of minerals you're producing, well, to be honest, Hive always struggles with this. So once you get two brain drones, it's better to change the designation of this world to be the tech world. It will let you save some small amount of minerals on the upkeep of those drones. Yes, you will lose a little bit on the savings on the upkeep of Synapse drones and a little bit of unit income, but that's not the critical point for the Hivemind at this point. It's minerals will be quite a pain. There will be a crisis coming from year 10 to year 15 with this type of build-up. But fear not, that's the part of the build, that's the part of being the Hivemind. No one said it will be easy. However, once you get through the build-up of the starports and once you enable boss edicts and kind of finish the build-up on your capital, these problems, these struggles and issues will go away and your economy starts booming. However, you have to get through this, bifurcation point when mineral income and the stockpile is going down. At this point, on the second colony is just waiting, because we have two free jobs, spare jobs. On the technological planet we have two brain drones, so I'm changing the designation. And as a rule of thumb, I would say that it's really important to keep the non-stop production of districts and labs on the tech world, and also on your capital until you get 6 labs and the synaptic node. LA world, as for now, is not as important. However, once you have some spare minerals, it feels like a good idea to throw in an industrial district for the future, because as for now it's not a bottleneck, but later on, with this strategy, with this build, you will start resettling pops from your other worlds, and even building something on this world non-stop will not allow you to get enough jobs for all the pops that you will be resettling, especially assuming the fact that you're the Hivemind and the pops are growing on the planet at a really fast rate. Also, one of the benefits of having the phototropic trait is, once again, as I said, is that you can assign drones that are producing food to other jobs and do not drop too hard in your in the food income, because the food consumption of pops is quite low. Synchronicity will also help, but we're picking synchronicity tradition tree not because it provides us with the 10% discount on the upkeep of drones, but actually it's used to get this point in synchronicity, and this point gives 2 amenities to all your Synapse drones, and this will immensely boost the stability on all your planets. And on top of that, this will allow you to spare this drone and get this drone to the production of whatever you will need at this point. Funnily enough, with these builds, and in general, Hivemind in general, and Progenitor Hivemind in particular, you'll be able to run your economy and your planets without any maintenance drones, at least for quite a reasonable amount of time. And this is, well, first of all, it feels great, because you're not wasting, or you're not putting additional drones to the like unproductive jobs, because technically maintenance drone produces nothing except for amenities, and amenities enable everything else. And you will, and with this build, you will not have any drones producing food as well, at least for the like reasonable amount of time from the start of the game. It also feels great because it kind of eliminates, like completely eliminates some types of jobs which are not efficient. They're not efficient assuming the fact that I will not be using the edict for the food production. I will not be building any additional food producing facilities or like buildings to increase the food production. And I will not be actually focusing food producing technologies. In this case, like all other tech options are not that great, so I just picked it. Why not? I will use it in the future anyway. However, with the phototropic traits, you can actually just ignore it. With a phototropic trait, you can actually ignore any technologies that provide you with the additional income from food production, and focus on those technologies that you actually need. I know it can be like it feels like not that big of a deal. However, later on, once you start getting like the hard choice of what to research in the society tree, this can be quite handy. The capital world finished the production of hive districts. You need to have 7 hive districts here, and the last building here is synaptic nodes. Technically, if the situation is not that great, well, frankly speaking, this situation is not that great because, as you can see, the production from space, the space income is almost non-existent. Like 6 minerals from space is almost nothing for the Hivemind. However, I still think that we'll be able to get through, power our way through this situation. So we will not be building the mineral purification plants as a last slot here. However, it's kind of risky because if you're building, if this is the last slot, if in this last slot from hive districts you build synaptic nodes, it means that you'll have to wait for the colonial centralization technology, which I was hoping to see here. Unfortunately, it did not happen. However, that's okay. In this case, I will be researching something that is useful. In this case, that's the doctrine space combat with the lowest cost. I'm really hoping to get the technology, the colonial centralization technology, as soon as possible. And that is why I'm kind of re-rolling the technology. Or like, it's not actually re-rolling the technology, I'm just using the technology with the lowest cost to get the next tech faster. The best case scenario could be doing the 405,000 plus 20% from society. However, since we are kind of optimizing this build for year 30, it's not the best case scenario. This type of technologies, I mean, plus 20% tier 2, pay for themselves in the amount of like 20 years. I might be wrong with this, maybe it's like more like 15 years or even lower, but still, if it's 20 years, this tech will only pay for itself after year 30. So we will not be able to actually enjoy the benefits of researching it, and that's why. Hence, this is why there is no point of actually researching it right now, and it's better to focus on technologies that will give you immediate benefits, or, or that will allow you to get to the next tech that you actually need. And this is another point, another breaking point. Once your initial build-up is complete, for the most part, like you have 7 hive districts here, you have already a reasonable amount of research labs here, it is about time to get the intellectual governor. So this governor, architectural interest governor, you have it for the start of the game, like for the early game. Once this is over, you're free to, unfortunately, say the governor game. We do not longer need your services, and pick intellectual governor to boost your game. You gotta be kidding me. I just had the intellectual governor like a second ago. Alright, well, I guess this makes the video a little bit more interesting, Kappa. But yeah, this is what you have to do, like get intellectual governor, not the way I did it. I do not recommend to do it the way I did. Guess I was too slow on it.
Complete.
But yeah, do not worry about not getting getting rid of your governor of level
Add-on
3
complete.
and getting tier 1 governor when you have the choice, right? When you have the choice of intellectual governor, because all leaders of the Hiveminds, Progenitor Hivemind, get their levels so fast that like governors will be getting levels almost in no time. Also, here, as you can see, the stability has dropped significantly.
Complete.
That's why you have to keep an eye on if you have the artifact release decision or not, and that is why having minor artifacts is so important. Here, this is a great tech role actually. Getting chemical plants as the first technology of tier 2 is one of the best case scenarios. We need this technology to, we need this tech to make the upgrade of our LA facilities possible. Yeah, we do not have any LA facilities as for now, but we definitely will have it later. Second tech role in society tree, nothing here. I mean, no colonial centralization, that's why I'm picking interstellar fleet traditions. We will also, this technology will also come in handy later. Our build-up has kind of slowed down because we do not have enough minerals and stuff. That is why it's time to delete the industrial district on our world. We already have the income of alloys on this planet. That is why we no longer need alloy production on our capital. Yes, metallurgists or whatever the name of the drones. Foundry drones here produce more than on the specialized planet. However, once I swap the designation of the planet to the alloy world, it will be producing alloys with the lesser upkeep of minerals. And actually, minerals is all that matters right now. And on top of that, as you can see, we have 81 minerals after the destruction of the industrial district. Now we are finally in a comfortable spot to actually continue the build-up on the planets. And also we're in a comfortable spot to actually keep searching for the intellectual governor. Unfortunately, the game decided to game us and to not provide us with the intellectual governor that was there, actually baited us, but that's not that big of a deal, hopefully.
Commander, there is a research objective on this world.
I swapped the designation of this planet to the Forge world, even though there are 4 Synapse drones here. However, there are already 3 Foundry drones, and actually having this designation will allow me to save quite a lot of minerals on the production of alloys. And once again, as you can see, the economy is so tight, the echo is so tight that that's definitely worth it. Also, on top of this, a side note, having 12 brain drones here is enough. It's like your goal.
Complete.
Having 10 brain drones here is the go-to. It's like the goal. So, in general, as a Hivemind, you get 22 brain drones before you're 30 for the most standard build-up. If you want more tech, you go for more tech. But if you want to balance the amount of tech you get and the amount of alloys you get, then 22 brain drones is the perfect amount. And basically after... I'm saying that this capital is done, even though there are 2 billion slots that are not being used right now. I'm keeping this and I'm not building the Hive district, hoping to get the colonial centralization technology, at least as number 3 tech.
Complete.
Also important point, we have already researched the mod stabilization, aka the income of mods. After that, when you see the blue laser, pick it. The game, sometimes if you do not pick this technology right away, when you see it after postponing it for quite some time, there are situations when the game will not provide you with this technology for a really long time after that. And, not having any reliable energy weapon technology like plasma or higher level lasers can be really, really, really painful. Especially if your enemy is relying on shield technologies. Alright, so we finished Prosperity, put 2 points into Synchronicity, so open Synchronicity and put 1 point into Instinctive Synchronization, and the next step is putting, opening Supremacy, Tradition Tree. And now we're just waiting. Now we are just waiting, and we are waiting for the next technology in the Society Tree. If it's the colonial centralization, then we Gucci. Actually getting it around here 15 is, I guess quite and okay. That's quite an okay scenario and result. However,
Research complete.
okay, this is actually the however situation. No colonial centralization. It means that we need another hive district.
Area explored.
Why? We need building slots, and we need building slots for the mineral purification plants, for energy grids, and also kind of need the synapse drone here. Since this amount of unity will not be enough to actually finish supremacy in time. We continue the build-up of industrial districts on the third planet. Technological planet is done. Like, we're good to go here. The only addition I will be waiting, like I'll be doing once I have enough minerals, of course,
Alert. All forces must evacuate.
will be the production of the chemical plants. We need to put... No, run away.
Research
We need to
complete.
put the production of rare resources somewhere. This will not be possible on the capital world, since I'll have mineral purification plants and energy grid
Research
here.
Complete.
That is why finding the planets to do so, finding the spare planet to do so is the best case scenario, and
Add-on
Tech
complete.
World will allow us to get, like, to employ a couple of additional drones apart from these two, without dropping stability too hard and without dropping amenities too early when you get negative. Not negative, but red stability. And in technologies, we are lucky, well, not technically lucky, in the balanced multiplayer mode, the weight of this, like particularly this technology, Mega Forges, tier 2 forges, is increased 3 times after year 15.
Add-on
Because unfortunately in
complete.
vanilla, the weight of the alloy forges is so little, it is so low that there are a lot of technologies that can actually interfere in the process of rolling for the alloy foundries, and that's kind of a pity, to be honest, from my point of view, because alloy world, like alloy
Research
technology,
complete.
alloy producing technology, it's the most important one. All right, the game decided to do it the hard way. Like, if you troll someone, troll till the end. So the game decided to not provide me with the colonial centralization technology, but that is okay. That's why I'm playing it at normal speed. Yeah, this might be not the best representation of the power of the build you can
Add-on
get,
complete.
but at the same time, well, that's also the example of what can happen in the real game, like in the lobby with other players. So I guess this is a nice example of how to navigate through this hardship. Since we have, it's not yet the maximum. Like, we have not yet hit the maximum of the science production, because of 2 reasons. First of all, we do not have the intellectual governor. Well, technically we could have it, but it decided to just escape our grasp. And also on top of that, we do not have the maximum amount of drones here, but we will approach this moment momentarily. Like, once this drone once this drone grows, we'll have enough for that. The first, like, one of the reasons why I was not
Research
doing any anomalies,
complete.
as you all know, that if there are, or maybe hopefully, as everyone knows, but if not, this is the day when you know it. There are anomalies that provide you with the stored research, and that stored research amount actually scales off the amount of science you are producing. So, if your science production has not hit the maximum values yet, it means that doing any anomalies, except for those that do not provide you with stored research, is basically a waste. Monthly unity plus 10%, of course, let's go for it. At least we're getting some good stuff from the game. Thank you, game, that's nice. And the production on your alloy world must continue. The show must go on. Absolutely. At this point, the game, like, the hardest, we have gone through the hardest point with the Hivemind, and there is another hardest point, is getting this intellectual governor, for God's sake.
Add-on complete.
Yes! Got this. Nice. Your planets are built, your science is hitting the maximum values, life is good. The only problem,
complete.
the only urge, the only hardship we have right now is getting the colonial centralization technology to upgrade the main building. Why is it that important?
Research complete.
Upgrading the main building of the Hivemind gives you 2 building slots, not 1 but 2. It also increases amenities. It also gives you more more synapse drone jobs. So okay, let's do it. So once you upgrade the main building, the economy on your capital just gets above, especially assuming the fact that any synapse drone increases stability while there's artifact relays. Edict enacted, and on top of that gives 1% to mineral drones. Yeah, that's not that big of a deal, but however it all stacks up. So that's a pleasant addition to what you have, to the economy you have already.
Research.
And at this point, yes, Hive Nexus, yes, colonial centralization. Here we go, perfect. Well, better late than never, I guess. The same situation with the size matters, but not that much of a deal when you talk about the tech planet, because as you can see, 12 size, like, if the planet has how much, like 7, 8 open districts for the tech world, that's absolutely enough for the Hivemind, at least for the tech world. Technically, the best case scenario is when you can produce something else on this planet, because around year 30 you'll be running in the deficit of food, finally. Well, not finally, but I mean, this is a reasonable amount of time of living off just star bases. But if you do not have food districts here, that's not that big of a deal. Your economy will allow you to actually buy the food you need. At this point, usually, like, how to make the decision if it's better to buy minerals or to produce them, you just compare the prices, and if you just compare the production, and if production of energy is not, like, if the difference is not enough to compensate for the market fee, then it's better to actually produce minerals. So let's say you produce 10 energy. This is enough to buy 7 minerals. That's obviously most certain energy. Obviously is not enough to buy 10.7 minerals. It's only enough for like 8.1 minerals. That's why you put the emphasis on mineral production and cut the purchase. This is the way to save your resources and to get the maximum value of what you have.
Add-on complete.
Alright, we finally got to this point when this perfect system will provide us with minerals. Even though these two systems in between were kind of, you know, suboptimal, they do not provide us with a lot of value. I think that getting those is worth it, because
add-on complete.
We need space. We need space for the star bases, and in this case, 7 star bases is the optimum.
Complete.
That's why I took those suboptimal systems. In general, it's like a rule of thumb that it's better to just ignore systems that do not have, like, system with two energy is basically, like, pardon me for my word, but that's basically a trash system, because you will actually use more resources to get it, and it will never pay for itself, at least in the foreseeable future. That's why it's better to ignore it if you're playing not as a Hivemind or not as an empire that requires more systems to put star bases in. However, this is not the case, so you were lucky to take it. Not lucky, but happy to take it. Also, it's time to get, like, the 3rd science ship. Technically, I did not do any math behind this, so I do not really know if it's the time right now, but usually I get the 3rd science ship once my tech planet is filled up, so I can assign I can assist research, assign this science ship to assist research on that planet. Alright, and here, even though the afterlife inhibition is not the best case scenario, not the best technology, I will pick it as well, because this technology has a great weight. Like, it has one of the highest weights in physics department, and I want to get rid of it. To do so, I will use one of my scientists that has the particles expertise. And this science ship will be used to assist research on technological planets. Alright. This guy with the raw and maniacal trait will be doing anomalies as for now. Once the, like, low-level anomalies are done, I will have a choice. So it's either doing the... We can either do the high-level technology, or high-level anomalies that will provide us with some minor artifacts, or start doing desiccated. I guess I will postpone excavating desiccated excavation or archaeology.
Research
Oh my,
complete.
for southern research. Perfect. Advanced mineral purification, deep core mining, both are great. I guess that I'll go for the advanced mineral purification.
Research
This is like the
complete.
ultimate move of the Hivemind when it comes down to the mineral production, and it feels good when you upgrade your mineral purification plants, especially if you have this amount of mineral districts here. However, technically, the less districts, the more important any mineral technology is. Also, give me a second, I need to swap my scientists. Make sure to swap your scientists. Like, you will have two science ships assisting research, and sometimes, let's say I had the materials expertise dude here, and that was basically a waste because I did not have the additional like boost to the research progress. Now I have 10% from the Spark of Genius. This tech roll is not the best, but let's get the research complexes. We will need it anyway later.
Add-on
So that's
complete.
not a waste by any means. As you can see, finally our
Add-on complete.
economy is approaching like the values when we can say that okay, our economy is okay. At least it allows us to produce stuff, and it allows us to increase the production of
Add-on
alloys.
complete.
In science, however, do not be tricked. Do not be tricked by it. We will still have issues sooner or later. So getting some technologies for the production, for the like strengths of your economy is advised. And also, like the Hivemind is a little bit tricky as well, because once you get the buildings that enable you to increase the production on your capital planet, like this, energy grid and mineral purification plants, or you get any technologies that increase the production, you can see that you are like getting
Research complete.
excess amount of raw resources. In this case, I advise that you start resettling some of the... At this point, you do not need this amount of tech drones on the capital. That's why you can start resettling your drones to the alloy world. Unfortunately, I was a little bit slower with the build-up of the chemical plants on my second planet. I got the first colony, the tech world. However, that's not that big of a deal, since we have quite a nice production of energy as for now, even after the resettlement of the one pop to the alloy facility. That's why we'll be able to start buying modes right once we get the production, once we get the chemical plants built up and ready. What I'm also looking for is getting additional minor artifacts and researching precursor anomalies, especially low-level precursor anomalies, is the way to go, because, well, with level 5 scientists, yeah, that's level 5, actually it's done quite fast. It's way faster than actually doing the excavation and getting benefits from it. It may take quite some time to actually do the excavation. And by the way, this is like the ultimate, the final look of your capital. I mean, it's not like the finalized look, but this is kind of
There is new information
the
for perusal.
enough build up here, because you have all the production, and then what else is left is just to increase the amount of mineral and
Research complete.
energy districts. Also, make sure to always research fusion reactor. It's like the same stuff as the blue lasers. However, it's not as important
Research
as it feels.
complete.
Oh, architectural interest. Beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Getting reactors is almost as important as getting blue lasers. In terms of
Research complete.
when I was saying that sometimes this does not show up later into the game, so it's worth it to get it once you see it. As far as I recall, I got plasma instead of fusion reactor, but from my experience, fusion reactor shows in the tech tree way more, for some god knows reason. It feels like there are some beliefs in the Stellaris community, and I have also some beliefs that something happens, because the game sometimes acts in paradoxical ways, if you know what I mean.
Research complete.
Alright, we started buying modes, because as for now the number one priority is getting the production of alloys here on our alloy producing facility. And yeah, as you can see, the minerals, once you build the production of modes, which also kinda consumes a lot of minerals, how much is it? 11 minerals for one job, so that's a lot. This is like the economy is tricky. Like, remember that, like, almost like a couple of years before that, a couple of years ago, the economy was absolutely flourishing. Everything was in green and like, in white numbers, and everything was absolutely perfect. We just increased the production a little bit, increased the amount of drones doing stuff, and look at this. Look at this. However, that's also like only temporal problem. For instance, wait, actually, you know what? I can do this right now, yeah. I recommend that you upgrade mineral purification hubs first, and only after that you upgrade alloy foundries, because imagine if I did the alloy foundries first. It would mean that I'll be sitting at like 10 minerals, and it will take like ages to get enough minerals to upgrade my mineral purification plants on my capital. So like, there are some bottlenecks that you can hit during the course of the game, so it always kind of like, it requires some like feeling of the game, or like feeling of the build, the feel of the build. However, it comes with like, it comes naturally, and with the flow of time you will be able to like, start feeling it. Like, okay, I see that my economy is approaching some hardship moments. It means that I need to put more emphasis on actually producing stuff, producing raw resources, except for just blindly trying to get as many alloys right now as possible and bottleneck. And if I do this, I will bottleneck my economy. That is why I should not do this right now. Alright. Also, this building, Resource Processing Center, is one of the best alloy produce increasing technologies you can get, technically. Because first of all, it provides you with 2 additional build slots. Oh, pardon me, 2 additional foundry drones jobs, and it also increases the amount of alloys you're making without the increase in the upkeep. So that's something, especially when you're really low on minerals. Here I'm trying to balance my mineral and Volta mode income. For instance, I need just 3 modes and 165 minerals. If I kept the purchase of 5 modes, it would take me like 6, 7, 8 months to actually get minerals. Here in this case, I'll be able to start the upgrade in like 2 months. That is why also managing the trades is also one of the ways to min-max to the ultimate points. Okay. Wait, no. Speaking about min-max, yeah. Sometimes building a space production is not the way. Waiting a little bit and then continuing with the production is the way. Alright, that is it. For the most part, we have built everything we need. Yeah, technically we also need some exotic gases and stuff to boost our ships, but as for now, we just need to pray on getting sufficient technologies for our destroyers, right? We have plasma, we have railguns, we have tier 1 computers. That's like the basic amount of weapon technologies. Like this is like the basic kinetic destroyer we can have, and the same applies for the plasma.
Research complete.
Okay, let us see. Oh, by the way, meanwhile I was talking, I did not point attention. I got the retired fleet officer. It means that we will be able to get a discount while building our ships, and that's absolutely instrumental.
Research complete.
It is absolutely instrumental, as well as the yellow computers, advanced combat roles. This is almost a must-have. If you're fighting with destroyers against destroyers, then tracking is the king, because destroyers have quite a lot of evasion. Innate and built evasion, it's like 13 stock, and I have 36 already. And then you can get some bonuses from, let's say, Gale Speed Admiral. You also get the bonus from the Offspring ships. So if you're not talking about psionic destroyers, then the destroyers of the Offspring, or the Offspring destroyers, and like destroyers of Progenitor Hivemind in general, they have the best evasion, apart from psionic destroyers, except for psionic destroyers, sorry. And that is why tracking is a must-have. if you're fighting against other Hivemind, if you're fighting against Psionics, obviously, but to be honest, even against like non-Psionic, non-Hivemind destroyers, tracking is still a must-have, because L-slot weapons, as you can see, do not have a lot of tracking, only 5 tracking. It means that you'll be missing like 25 shots just from missing the target, and on top of that there is also the accuracy issue, which is like 20%, will be like on average 20%. You have to keep in mind that this is kind of random. It doesn't mean like exactly 80% of shots will be hit. It's like approximately or around 80% of shots will be hit. You can counter it with auxiliary fire controls, which puts the accuracy to 85, but once again tracking always the issue. That is why yellow computers, even though that you will not see it in the fleet power, it will not like directly boost your fleet power if you upgrade it. However, this is like game changer, especially against destroyers, as I said, and of course even more so when you're fighting corvettes. However, corvettes are kind of the extinct species on the battlefield. You do not really see a lot of those. It's more like an all-in scenario.
Complete.
Alright, let's check. Unfortunately, it feels like I'm not on the best course when it comes down to finishing supremacy, so I might have misplayed something, or maybe the late colonial centralization was the problem here. But, well, happens. I'll try and see what I can do with it. Also, I made a mistake by keeping the fortify the border edict, so I was losing like 10 unity per month. It also kind of adds up, and you can see that even with 85 unity, that is not enough to actually finish supremacy in time. That's why, like, this is actually the main reason why you build synaptic nodes here as a first build-in. You do not do it on the tech world, because you kind of want to speed up your technology and your science income, because Hivemind is already kind of slow with the build-up of science compared to any other empire type, because you have to build the energy district first, then you build research labs, and you have to build another mineral district first. Compare this to like the bio empires where you can get to 200 science income in like a matter of 2-3 years. Hivemind sits with 200. Hivemind sits with 200 income of science till like year 7 or 8. But once you get the Forge world, one of the benefits of getting synaptic nodes here is also that Synapse drones provide you with amenities. And since this world is like, that's a large world, you will have a lot of pops here, which means that you will need a lot of amenities, and Synapse drones will provide you with amenities. So it all kind of stacks up. It's about time when we need to start building ships. I guess I will speed up the process in the video to not make you look at the mundane process of shift queuing ships over and over and over again. I really do hope that I get the kinetics tier 4 though. Because if not, my fleet power will be a little bit suboptimal, especially for the guide. However, like, this is almost the worst case scenario that you can get. The technology of the colonial centralization was kinda slow. However, I was lucky with the particles. In the physics department, I got the modes quite fast. Okay, what do we have? Nothing. Okay, let's try to roll it once again. There is another trick you can use, like, with 6 shipyard modules, it is advised to start the build-up of ships around late year 6, start of year 7. And if you're waiting for some technology, like let's say I had tier 2 plasma, so I do not actually need to wait for some additional technology to start the build-up, but I do not have tier 4 railguns. So what I do, I start with the build-up of ships with plasma, tier 2. It will take some time for these ships to be built. I will be shift queuing those ships, right? And so while all this pack of ships is being built, it takes like 1 year, 2 years. It actually allows me to wait for the kinetics weapons to show up, be researched, and after that I will be able to also queue up the kinetic ships. This way you're not just wasting your time on waiting for all the technologies you want to get. You just produce the ships that are already ready to be produced, and then just add up ships that get the technology later, like the kinetics in this case.
Research complete.
Yes, we got it. Let's go. Thank you, game. It looks like the game wants to test my beliefs in the game. You have to believe. Well, in this case, I want to believe. I believed and I got it. So this is somewhat a Progenitor spiritualist Hivemind playthrough, in a sense. We got this. Okay. Please do not be surprised if the game will be sped up, because this shift queuing process can be a little bit mundane, and on top of that my keyboard is quite loud, so when I start doing this kind of stuff, it can be a little bit noisy. I will not be cheating or doing anything special here, like I will not be using anything to my advantage. I'll be just using the technologies I have, so that's like a total legit playthrough. It's like, to be honest, it feels like an average playthrough. However, keep in mind that if you're playing the ISS mod on the guaranteed planets, like in the systems with guaranteed planets, you will see the Jojo asteroid with 5 minerals, and on the another guaranteed, in another guaranteed system, you will see the Cyber asteroid as well. This will boost your early game. The reason why we decided to add minerals in the ISS mod is that a lot depends on the space income, and it feels like sometimes people, like some players, are so lucky with the amount of space production that there is nothing they can counter it. So this kind of provides all players with the close to the same starting conditions, and that's like the philosophy of the mod. Here on the main planets, actually I can get rid of the Hive district. I do not need it because I built it before upgrading the Hive Nexus. And here also it's time to clear this blocker, because I will need some more mineral income anyway. Oh, this is first alliance, nice. Alright, this is a time to start building my ships, I guess. Yeah, it feels so. Alright, so let's do it. And here comes the first fail and the first cut in the video. This is like the first part of the video that was not recorded with the main body, and the reason? Well, apparently if you call your kinetic destroyers destroyer energy, and your energy destroyers destroyer kinetic, well, there are some issues you're gonna face, so I have had to redo this. And I'll be redoing this part from the save game I made. It's a little bit ahead, it's like 2 months ahead of the main body of the video, but I do hope that there will be no issues with that. Okay, so what is the best approach to do the shift queuing of the ships? First of all, you need shipyards. I recommend that you have 3 shipyards, aka 6 modules. I usually do not go for the Starhold upgrade, because first of all, if you do the Starhold technology, it opens some parasitic technologies in your engineering tech pool. Those technologies that I absolutely love and adore, and absolutely am happy to see those anytime, like modular engineering, and especially improved structural integrity. That's why I recommend that you do it from the 3 starports, not starholds. You have 6 shipyards. Usually that is enough to of shipyards production to start building your ships around year 26. This time I'll be doing it a little bit later, because this is a Hivemind, and usually the amount of alloys you have is a little bit lower compared to other empires, like at least at this point of the game. Also, I will just wait until I get the advanced railguns and build my fleets. Please keep in mind, I will be building pure kinetic ships. Well, technically this is kind of cheating from the creator part, because this will provide me with bigger fleet numbers, but I do not want to look really bad compared to my other ones, and on top of that, not having additional hull upgrade for your destroyers will also influence the fleet power. So this is kind of a trick on my side. However, this is totally legit. I will not be adding any fleet power from somewhere, not adding any alloys or something like that. So, like in general, if you're fighting against players, it's better to have mixed in weapons. However, since I do not have the plasma tier 2 as for now, and at some points and in some lobbies, having high fleet power can actually make your enemies think that you're too powerful to attack you. So actually having this a little bit inflated, bubbled up fleet power can be used as a, let's say, mind games against your enemies. So I kind of find this okay for this video. Alright, so right now I'm just waiting for the finish, like for the technology to be done. We got additional unity. However, the problem is that most likely I will not be, not most likely, 100% I will not be able to finish Supremacy in time. This means that my supremacy
Research complete.
Tech 3, okay, Plasma Accelerator, Tier 2, great, always pick that. My supremacy 3 in the traditions will be finished
Research
like literally a
complete.
couple of months later than year 30. So in this case, what do? Let's say there is an enemy here, right? You keep checking their stance. You can see the stance of your enemies. If your enemy has supremacist already, then it's kind of risky, and there is a chance that your enemy will be attacking you right away, exactly year 30. So in this case, if you're almost 100% sure that you're going to get attacked exactly on clock, exactly start of year 30, picking Belligerent is the way to go. It will provide you with additional naval capacity, it will also reduce the claim cost and war exhaustion gain, which is kind of important as well. However, if you see that your enemy is still a desolationist, it's like end of year 29, the enemy is still a desolationist, and you're really close to finishing supremacy, there is a gamble. You can either choose to pick Belligerent and go with it for the next 20 years, or 10 years, whatever, I don't remember exactly how much time it takes to actually get another run, or you can risk it and just wait a little bit until you get supremacy, you finish your supremacy tradition tree, and then immediately change to the supremacist diplomatic stance. It's up to you. The only hint is that if the enemy is sitting isolationist, the chances that that enemy is not ready, or potential enemy, sorry, is not ready to attack you, that chances are quite high. So you just stick with isolationist and hope. The way to build your ships is to assign these starports to keys, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. These are the hotkeys: Control 1, Control +2, and Control +3 for the shipyards. And then you just cycle between those when you're ordering ships or shift queuing ships. At this point, our ships are quite well done. I mean, well listened. We have 20 tracking, 5 from sensors, so it's total 25 tracking. And on top of that, we have iron thrusters. That's additional chance to it, so we have 40 evasion. So if our enemies do not possess the technology of tracking, or their tracking is kinda low, well, our enemies will be in all kinds of trouble. Okay. Frankly speaking, the build-up at the end of year 27 will be a little bit late. So, technically speaking, I had to start building like at the start of year 7. However, in this case, since our supremacy will be a little bit later, and even though potentially you can get attacked year 30, there is no way that your enemy gets to your shipyards in like 1 month. Your enemy will have to travel through the hyperlanes, take the system, so it's okay to build your ships a little bit later than exactly year 30, but optimally you get it right exactly on clock.
Research complete.
Right, we got this. Unfortunately, no destroyer hulls. We upgrade the weapons, and the build-up starts. Assign the cap governor and just queue up. As you can see, I'm cycling between different shipyards, making sure that all the shipyards have this. Wow, that is actually the same amount of ships I have ordered. Nice. So when you see that the ships are ready to be done, ready to be like spewed out from the shipyards, just shift Q on those. I'm doing like 1, then press shift and click twice, 2, press shift and click twice, and 3. This allows me to cycle between shipyards and shift Q ships on all shipyards at the same time. I will be also ordering some Osprey destroyers. Sometimes if you're really running out of clock and you have enough edict capacity, or even if you do not have enough edict capacity but you need your ships to be out, you're super late. Also, the way to go is to enable fleet supremacy. It gives you additional 10 shipbuilding speed. Like in this case, I can try this out. Is it working? Is it not? Oh, I didn't enable it. Okay, I was like, no way, it's not working. All right, so 66 days. You'll be like actually saving 4 days on each of the ships you're building. Well, which is not that bad, assuming the fact that it's on each of the ships, and if there are like 20 ships, that's like 3 months of the build-up. Meantime, I will be upgrading the energy on my main planets, on my capital, because once ships are out, the requirements for the upkeep of the ships will be super high.
Research complete.
The trick is to actually manage picking all the technologies. Like in this case, I'm getting alien nanoplants. I would love to get the destroyer hulls.
Research complete.
But this is not the case. Oh yes, I also need some modes. So you're trying to manage your economy, and meanwhile you're also shift queuing ships. Some players may say that shift queuing ships can be considered some sort of an exploit. Frankly speaking, I agree and disagree at the same time, because, well, first of all, there is such an option in the game, right? You can shift queue armies, you can shift queue buildings and stuff. And as you can see, it kinda requires a lot of commitment. And I would say hard work as well. Like, clicking actually is not hard at all. Also keep in mind, if you put the cap governor, your crime level on the capital can rise, because you're swapping out your main governor that has higher level, and the higher the level, the less is the deviancy. Sorry, not crime, deviancy of the drones on your main capital, on your main planet. So what do you do when you add ships? You do it like this. You start shift queuing your ships here until you get to the point where the newly ordered ships just show up in the queue, and they are added to the queue of unbuilt ships yet. So the entirety of the queue, as for now, consists of the ships that have already been almost built. I have ordered 6 offspring destroyers, as for now. And we are on the good course to actually be releasing our fleet in the wild. I'm doing one last cycle of the shift queuing. Wait, have I added anything? No? Actually, no, what? I didn't. Okay, I'm pausing the game for a second. Once your ships are ready to be built, enable the Fleet Supremacy Edict. This will provide your ships with the starting experience. Starting experience, it's 10% to the damage of your ships. That's extremely important, since getting the damage on your ships is not as easy as getting fire rate, let's say. There are a lot of ways you can get fire rate for your ships. Auras, admirals, specific civics, if you're the Bio-Empire, let's say, fleet doctrines, and a lot of other stuff. Damage, that's basically experienced. Edicts and repeatable technologies, as far as I recall. Also some admirals, let's say the unyielding one, as far as I recall it, also gives some damage, but that is it, basically. Ships are almost done. Here, these two is not... Of course, you will not be able to pause in the multiplayer game, and this is another layer why this is kind of hard to pull off. At the same time, I'm trying to describe what I'm doing. That's why I had to do this. The Fleet Supremacy Edict is done. The ships will start popping off. And here we go. Experienced. Ship weapons damage plus 10%. Just due to the fact that we have Fleet Supremacy Edict enabled. And that is why this technology in the Society tree, where is that? Space Combat Fleet Doctrine is extremely important. At this point, I will start selling alloys automatically and reduce the amount of volatile modes I'm buying. Also, another way is also resetting some pops to the energy, like to a capital where I have the energy production. On top of that, if you see that you have a lot of alloys in stockpile and you're about to build a really big ship, a really big fleet, like right now I have like how much? Like 120, 130 naval capacity. Actually, that's quite on the low range of fleet power. Mainly due to the fact that I was not executing everything perfectly, and some tech rolls were off. Obviously you can get more, obviously you can get less than that. However, if you have more ships and you see that your naval capacity will be exceeding it, so we'll have to spend quite a lot of energy and alloys for the upkeep of the ships, you can do this trick, build an additional generator districts on your capital. If you have, like, let's say 8 possible districts here, make sure to clear this industrial wasteland, or like all the blockers in your capital. adding additional energy districts, and actually even if the situation is really dire, like as for now, disabling some of the tech labs and putting those drones to the production of energy. This is one of the benefits of the Gestalt empires, since you do not have stratas and you can actually maneuver your pops from one type of resource to another, from complex resources to not so complex resources. Right, let's see. Our ship's almost done. At this point, once the ships are ready and out of the shipyards, disabling the fleet supremacy edict is the way to go. Because we are overspending the upkeep of those. I still have 43 energy, that's quite a lot. 133 just on clock. We're ready. Unfortunately, it's like 8 months, so my supremacy will be ready at the end of year 30, which is suboptimal, as I said, and it is better to obviously finish it year 30, and that is why timings, especially with the Progenitor Hivemind, are so important. If you get the Hive Nexus technology, as late as I did, usually getting the second synaptic nodes on the alloy world will allow you to get supremacy in time. On top of that, obviously, I was a little bit, conservative with the usage of my artifact relays and like minor artifacts. I could have done this and also increase the amount of alloys I'm making on this planet. For instance, each of the drones will be producing 0.4 alloys more, so it's like 8 alloys on top of what I'm doing right now. And from this point of time, I can actually sell not as much. With the edicts, also I'm running hidden run. Oh no, I cannot use hidden run yet, but that's fine. With the edicts, the fleet power is quite reasonable, it's like 17k. Obviously that's full kinetics, however that's without any admirals. And on top of that, this is the fleet power without the second hulls for the destroyers. Let's say we got the initial fleet power.
Complete.
At this point, I can make a pause to talk about it. I can start just adding some energy weapon ships, and that is it. Also, there is another approach. With the Hivemind, you can wait, with the Progenitor Hivemind, I mean, you can wait until you get cruisers. The reason why cruisers are so good is that cruisers have the M-slot defense modules, and M-slot defense modules, not only they are more alloy efficient, they also provide more defense points. Well, I mean, yeah, because they're more alloy efficient, basically. So that means that updating and upgrading defense models on destroyers is not as great as doing it with the cruisers, and that is why cruisers scale better than destroyers. However, in this case, like any player, any Stellaris player, and this also applies to Gestalts, since Gestalts use their modules or buildings on their starbases to produce energy. Every Gestalt uses this. That is why Gestalts are kind of limited by the amount of naval capacity they can field without rebuilding their anchorages. So in this case, if you want to actually save the naval capacity, the way to go is to upgrade your ships. For instance, I can add better shields or better armor here. However, with destroyers, I have a feeling that actually fielding more ships instead of making your current ships and updating them and making them stronger, their defenses stronger, is the way to go. The optimal amount of ships I would fight with is around like 80-90 destroyers. As for now, I have 66 destroyers. I can add another 10, so it puts me to like 76. They're obviously good number, which I want to shoot for. In this case, if I want to get a higher naval capacity, the rebuilding of some energy panels to the anchorages is the way to go. Yeah, you're gonna lose some energy, but at the same time, if you exceed the amount of naval capacity, this will tax you way harder than rebuilding solar panel networks and losing this energy income. Well, for the most part, that is it. This is the build-up since from the start, from year 0 to year 30. It's not that polished, pardon me for making some mistakes, but it's the first video in a long time, and I decided to okay, this is time to just release the video, do it. Maybe redo it later, or refine it later. But for the most part, in like 95% of multiplayer games, having this fleet out, and let's say having this amount of ships in the build-up, let me order those. Yeah, well, at 9, but in some time I'll get even more ships. This will be enough. It will be not. This will be enough to defend yourself and maybe attack someone. And once again, keep in mind that that was not the optimal run, and I also did not make like save games or something or replaying something. And that is why it's like, I guess this is a good representation of the average run. And also, I guess this is quite important, even though that I'm exceeding level capacity and have this amount of ships out, like 17k with edicts. The economy feels fine. Like, there are no actual problems. If you're playing bioempires, then most likely you know that there are a lot of issues with the economy once your fleet is out. Now here, after the supremacy, diplomatic stance and naval hit and run, I'll be in the positive amounts of energy. It's almost unheard of for bioempires, and that is why the Hivemind scales well, especially for the mid game. And this is exactly what Mr. Montu was talking about in his video, and he talked about, and he also has shown the what kind of fleet you can fill like year 35. To do so, make sure that you have the starbase that has the crew station chambers. Let's say there is an enemy here, so what we can do, we choose one starbase that blocks the hyperlanes, the entrance to your core systems, or at least we make it so you have direct routes to this starbase from your shipyards. You build the crew station chamber on that starbase. Actually, no destroyer hulls, but they have cruisers. Okay, let's go for cruisers, but the best case scenario would be destroyer hulls. And you just send your ships here. You just send your ships, you station those ships here on the starbase. When you need some additional ships, you build them. The optimal way to do this is to like keep swapping your governor to the gap governor that you have for the build-up of each batch of the ships. And once like actually shift queuing the ships to the bottom, as I was doing before that. And once this small batch is ready to be out in the wild, also enabling the fleet doctrine edict, like fleet supremacy edict. 160 naval capacity at the moment. I can also afford to build some additional starbases. It is actually better to pay for the exceeding amount of starbases than to pay for the exceeding amount of ships. Because the ship upkeep is absolutely brutal when you start exceeding it, mainly due to the fact that you have a lot of ships already. With the edicts... Oh, I don't have crystals. Well, that's like close to 20k ships, right? With the second hull upgrade for my destroyers, it would be close to like 22k, which I think for the Hivemind, assuming the fact that you're scaling really well, I think that's a really good number. I mean, that's a reasonable amount of ships. And on top of that, we can do a little trick, like now we will be saving, right? But if I had a Starhold here, also adding the Osprey Outlook, actually we can do this right now and see how it goes. This will also boost the amount of ships. And the most beautiful part of the Progenitor Hivemind is that you are not in a rush. Basically, bioempires kind of hit their ceiling around year 30, like the majority of them. So they have to attack, and they are running the economy. Like they will be wasting like 50-60 allies per month to actually feed their ships. Either doing the on-click sell, like tick selling, or if not, that's worse with it, just selling it monthly and decreasing the price that you sell it for. With a Hivemind, not like the sky is a limit, but you have this planet not developed at all. You can add agriculture districts here to not pay for food you need. From this point you can start increasing the science output, or you can continue like putting more and more resources in the production of alloys, continue like building up ships, and then waiting for like year 35 and then pouncing on your enemy. And I'm pretty sure that no one will be happy to see the
add-on complete.
Wait a minute, look at the firepower of this thinking. Okay, what is that? Let's enable some edicts. 14, 15, 22.2k on the defense, year 32. Most likely that will be enough. Like, for real, only the small majority of builds will be able to actually surpass this amount, especially in the defense, but on top of that you can continue building. And once again, this is why Progenitor Hivemind is so reliable, I guess, as a build, because you don't stop scaling year 30. And technically you can kind of scale on your own. However, you definitely depend on the amount of districts that you have on the planets. In this case, like just scaling your planets, I think that machine empires are better, especially rock servitors. But the Hivemind has the luxury of just sitting, keeping the growth, while with the machine empires you actually have to cut your growth, otherwise you will fall behind in terms of the fleet power. And like everything is going well. Basically that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next video, that I hope that also will be out quite soon. And yes, see you next time. Oh yeah, by the way, totally forgot, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like, leave a comment, tell me what to do differently, what changes in the way of making the video, or just what guides do you want to see next. And yeah, see ya.